Alright, Mastering SolidWorks Chapter 28. Using layer line fonts and colors. This chapter deals with the layer, line fonts, line colors, other strictly 2D types. Functionality with SolidWorks drawings. Never productive to try to use SolidWorks as if you were AutoCAD. But sometimes there's an overlap in functionality. If you make the transition from 2D to 3D, you'll be much further ahead to just embrace SolidWorks for what it is and accept that it doesn't work on like a 2D only program. In this chapter, you will learn the layers, specify line format, setting height, and hide edges in drawing views. Alright, it shows the layers stacked on top of each other. Layers are available in SolidWorks drawing documents, but not in 3D modeling, even sketches at all. Even drawings of layers have not traditionally been used with a lot of formal SolidWorks demo and training materials. Working with layers imported with the 2D data. Working imported data with the DXF DWG format file with a list. The layers have existed with the original data brought forward with the SolidWorks can use them in a similar way to the original AutoCAD usage. For example, you can turn layers on and off visual and you can change layer description, colors, line thickness, and line style. Whether you have the intent of the imported data determines how you should open the file. If you only intend the view with the print of the drawing, then I would suggest the draft site with a free download from the default system. SolidWorks website offers familiar interference from the AutoCAD user. If not, to integrate with the data with the imported document native SolidWorks drawing, you can open the drawing from a normal opening dialog box in SolidWorks. If you want to make 3D part from 2D data drawing file, may want to import a drawing into a part sketch environment. That often leads to some speedy issues depending on the number of sketch entities imported in the file. If you prefer, sketch entities can also be copied from drawing to model sketch. You can even copy the entities from draft site to SolidWorks sketch. So sketch must open, ordered, and pasted in the sketch entities. In case of the imported 2D data is brought into the model sketch, you can also layer the information because of the part, and some of the documents do not allow layers. Colors assigned on layers and data conforming with the AutoCAD are often based on black background. If they cannot be they can be difficult to see on a white background. SolidWorks does not have an automated tool that makes you have the contrasting background colors. The two ways of dealing with it change with the SolidWorks drafting sheet color with something dark, or to change individual layers colors to something darker. Both methods are easy, both methods are easy, but although I have to send the 2D data back to the source, or maybe the most temporary change of the drawing and sheet color. Figure 8 2021 show the layer interface with the imported drawings with the background. To open the layer dialog box, check the layer property button, which is found on both the layer and line format toolbars. Shows the layers. Be aware that many items imported to the drawing may come into SolidWorks as blocks. So these items may need to be exploded before you can work with them. This is often the case with the drawing border and title block and format. To explode the block, right-click the block and then choose Explode. Working with a layer on the sheet format. One of the most obvious issues with the layer is drawing border sketch line with the sheet format. The sketch lines will either create the border, have the heavier light and weight, and in different color easily extinguished from the model geometry. You can assign layers in three ways. Select existing items, then select the layer for the drop-down list for the layer toolbar. Select active layer and create new items. While creating items such for the entities and annotations, select the layer from the new entity directly with the property manager. To set a layer from the active layer of the double-click with the layer dialog box, refer to Figure 28.1, chain with the drop-down list for the layer toolbar. When you assign the active layer on their newly created entity, or placed in the layer, not just with the sketch entities, the symbols, notions, blocks, and other elements can also be part on the layer. If you have a particular about the layer scheme on the drawing, that it may be advisable to active the layer with the none, which available valid option of the layer toolbar drop-down list. When you create a new layer on SolidWorks, a new layer becomes active layer. Any new items of the added automatically placed on the layer. Another option, building a sheet format. Any other drawing function that requires sketching with a special layer with a construction geometry that enables you to hide layer when isn't being used but still maintains relations. Hidden layers can be used in several other ways. For example, the standard notes for the drawing, and they can be easily turned on or off. Adding dimensions within notes to layers. SolidWorks drawing has the tendency to be drab, black and white drawings in contrast with the AutoCAD drawings, which often seems to have the peripheral and contrast colors. Drawings are easier to comprehend the different types of the colors differently, but to do this effectively, you must apply the color scheme consistently. Dimension annotations can be placed within layers ways described. The preceding section's active layer from the property manager during the creation. However, the drop-down list for the layer toolbar. However, the line styles don't affect the dimension and those of the other color and visibility tests. Work with the components and layers. Assemble the drawing properly. First off, for the most of the monochromatic nature of the most. The Solidworks drawings must be individual components that will be difficult to identify with everything in the same color. This is a Solidworks. Use typical color point parts of the shaded model with the assembly window that makes sense that he would be doing something on the drawing using assembly of the drawings. You can usually assemble the parts of the drawing with the document specific settings to apply with only the document that you want to apply with not all the drawings unless you have saved with the setting of the template. If you're saying that it was also needed to be careful on how you choose the parts within your assembly, you will generally want to choose darker or more saturated colors. You avoid yellows, grays, light colors that would contrast with the white and gray color with the default SolidWorks graphic drawing sheet. You can find the settings assembly with the part color on the drawings and tools option document detailing using model color for hidden line removal and hidden line visibility. In drawings, hidden line removal stands as hidden line remove. HLV stands for hidden lines visible. They are two-way wireframes display modes of the most frequently used for the drawings. Of course, any other display with the part with the color drawing shaded views. Traditional drawing shade views are often considered on standard figure 28 to show that the setting of the document private the dialog box. Similar part configuration on the dialog box. You went to document properties, and now we went to detailing, and it shows the display filters, text scales, annotations, using model color, hidden line review drawings. The setting maintains shaded drawing views as a page available by selecting view on the drawing and clicking in the shaded display style toolbar heads up view from the heads up view toolbar on the drawing. From whenever the view title is displayed, you can do the same thing by selecting view and then choosing view display shaded with the edges. Using assembly of the parts of the layer and other annotation display of the components with assemble the different colors while using the wireframe to mode that does not rely on the colors assigned to the parts of the assembly to use the component line fronts. Line fronts are covered in the chapter section controlling line format. The component line format dialog box contains layer settings which can either be put on a layer. If the layer set up with the color of the part will display with the color in all the views of the drawing or just to the current drawing, depending on your settings. If it takes some more time to set up the individual layers for each part, then they set up the parts of the layers. You can access the component line font and dialog box by right-clicking the component in the drawing view box, and component line font dialog box is shown in figure 28.3. Shows component line, dialog display, use document defaults, visible hidden tangent, crosshatch, visible edges, apply to all view section or layer, and line thickness and custom thickness and style. In the normal use of the document defaults option, select with all the settings of the dialog boxes are grayed out. To gain access to the settings, you must deselect the document default options and show in figure 28.3. Alright, it shows a whole picture control line format. A line format contains layer tools, 4 additional tools of the control line, color, line thickness, line style, color, display mode. There's no actual setting of the tool called line format. The setting is controlled separately with the layers, therefore it can be used in model sketches as well as the drawings. And model the line font displayed only with the inactive sketches. Any sketch of the both closed and shown are displayed in the line format settings. Figure 28.4 shows the line format toolbar along with the interfaces of the line color, line thickness, and line styles. Note the term line font refers to the combination style of the end cap and thickness. To set the line font, choose the tools option, document property, line font, use the document specific settings. Using line format settings, you can specify the line format setting with the two different methods. The first method that you can set with nothing, select with which cause the function line system option, the new setting take for all the documents with the open with the current computer. And the second method there is a switch entity with the edges selected with the setting apply only to the selected entities. Caution this change with the setting of the nothing to select with the line format setting of the color, thickness, and style with the function and system options. Setting of the end caps with another option with the line font. Setting with the end cap style with the offers important option with especially thickness. 3 option with the flat, round, and square with the off of the square style. It's usually more appropriate to find the setting with the choose with the tools option with the document property line font, but you may want to change with the setting update with the drawing template formats. Figure 28.5 show the difference between 3 options. With the end cap style, you have flat, round, and square. Notice the small notch and sharp corner of the flat style, but this may be very distracting on a drawing, in my opinion, but I don't like very professional. The notch edge is the most pronounced for the thicker lines. Setting the line thickness. Line thickness setting of the default custom 8 width of the standard with an interesting with a different thickness name of the interface will set with the actual thickness, but not in the interface we want to set where you set the line thickness. Figure 28.6, the line thickness page. Tools option document property line thickness. So there's different thicknesses of the lines. The way line thickness is shown in the drawing has nothing to do with numerical width of the sign to it. For example, the 28.6 notes of the thick 2 is set at 190 ten thousandths of an inch, which may be much wider than thick, and then set at 270 ten thousandths of an inch. Changing the numerical affix only printed with the line thickness. It does not affect the display at all. Caution: line thickness setting of the document options, non-system options. As a result, the two drawings of the same line assignment when they have different numerical widths. Therefore, the two drawings would be differently print differently on the same computer. This could be the benefit of the draft. See if they pay attention to changing the settings. Setting the line style. Create the custom line style with the syntax shown with the line style page tool option document property line style with the document specifically setting. Therefore, you must copy make a custom line style. Once you to use another document, you have to save it as a solid line file, load it in another document, and then save the templates in this line style load. We will have to won't have to load the style for any document made from the template. Alright, a perpendicular right angle with a right angle mix on the color. Changing the color display. Color display mode toggles between the display assigned colors and color sketch states. The colors are primarily used for the drawing when you're making sketches with the sketch relation that are important. Setting used to control the display with the sketch headings only. Eyeball left and right arrow to the side edge. Hiding and showing edges. Sometimes illustrative purposes is desirable to hide an edge, a certain edge of the drawing view with the hide show button with the line format tool, but although it may not be the toolbar default, you can choose the tool customize to put it on toolbar display with the after the edges have been hidden. Right click on what it should be with hide show image of the right menu button. To view the hide edge tool, simply select the edge if you want to the hide and click with the hide edge button. Show the edge. Click show the edge button. Hide an edge of the display with the orange. Selecting them at the time will display them when they are commanded is complete. Be aware that if your view has draft quality, edge of the view hide will still be shown until the view is on and made into a high quality view. Also be aware that child views may take the display with the properties of the parent view, but also you'll have the same main view with the quality before the hidden edges will display when they're not properly. You might also want to be aware of setting of the tools option drawn with the automatic hiding components of your creation and setting the hiding components so that are not visible in view. Although it does not intuitively make sense, it also has Solidworks to save the time calculating hidden edges of simply hiding the entire component. It can save a lot of time, however, if you're not aware of the happening of the very accustomed to looking into the hidden show components after the hidden part with the hidden automatically can be lead to fully frustration view change with the add of the breakout view automatically hidden parts suddenly become visible. There's no automatic function to unhide these components. Alright, tutorial using drawing display tools. Some of the functions described in the chapter describe the understanding of the actual use of them. Tutorial guides through the functions step by step. You can see them in action. Start here from the download material and open the line. Open a drawing called Chapter 8, 28 Tutorial Solid Drawing. Make sure the layer and line format toolbars are active. The hide show of the edges becomes available on the line format toolbar. Right-click the blank space with Edit Sheet Format from the menu. Window select or Control A. Everything in the formatted drop-down list of the layer toolbar. Assign the selection to the toolbar border layer. Notice the change of the color and thickness of the sketch lines. Right-click on the blank space and click Edit. Select Edit Sheet. Click the layers property button on the either layer and line format toolbar. Add the layer each of the part group with a bracket, clips, pins, blocks, and again. Assign different colors for each of the layer. Figure 28. Some of the different dialog boxes for the layers are created with a different color for each of the new layer. Preferably something will contrast against white. Alright, be aware that creating new layers leave the last layer with the creative activated and indicated with a highlighted row. Figure 28. Some of them cannot set the active layer to none of the layer dialog box. You must do this using the drop-down list of the layer toolbar. Set the active layer to none with the layer tools drop-down list. The exit of the layer dialog box. Right-click with the bracket. One of the views of the same. Select the component line font. Deselect the use of the document defaults option. Select with the bracket layer of the drop-down list. Lower right-hand corner dialog box shows 28.8. Make sure that the drawing view option is still set at all views. Now we've done the component line fault box and we've changed the bracket to layer. Repeat steps in 7 for all the components, assigning each component with its own layer. Notice that makes parts easier identified. Alternatively, you could simply change the line thickness and line style and thickness for each component. This would save the trouble of creating layers, but you will lose layer color settings. Open control component line, find a dialog box, bracket part again. This time set with the line thickness is 787 ten-thousandths an inch. Click OK. You have to rebuild the drawing. Show with the change with the Control B or Control Q. Trigger 28. 9 show with the detail of the corners are created by thickness lines. Notice the notches created at the corner of the notches are supposed to fix you with the end cap setting tools option document property line font. Some of the end cap with the type of the square. Click OK with the document property and drawing. Select inside view with working. Make sure the high quality of the setting is found with the property manager view with the display style panel. With the already set for the high quality, there will be no other view option. If it isn't there, it will be an option that is set through the draft quality. Apply thickness edges. The image figure 28.9, the old setting of the draft quality view, and the image right to the net setting of the high quality view. 11, in the component line font dialog box line weight and setting back to the default for the bracket, but keeping it on the bracket layer. In the isometric view, Control click out of the tangent A with the bracket bar shown with the figure 2810 with the click of the hide edge, show edge button on the line format toolbar, hide and show edge button of the property manager message will change the indicator with the select with the hidden edges. Hidden edges will play with an orange and click. Control select with the hidden edge, right click with when you are finished. The bottom line, although Solidworks is not primarily built around strength of the 2D functionality is more capability than most. You take advantage of layers, colors. Line styles can make your drawing clear and easy to read. Master create a new drawing part called Sample Casting Solid Part. In this, download materials for the make of the drawing and import the dimensions automatically. Create a new layer called Dimension. Move all the dimensions in just using a box. Select a selection filter to top. Select the color of the new dimensions as dark blue. Create several new annotations. Place some of the blocks from the library. Create a new layer annotations. Move these into the box. Change the color new lock layer to the dark green. Leave the annotation layers active layer and creating a new annotation. Master sample casting drawing. Select a couple interior edges. Hide them using hide show edges. Next select a couple exterior edges and chain line format to a thicker style. Alright, chapter 29, working with tables and drawings. Testing.